Hello and welcome back to the Wwenxt debate and to another edition of NXT Out of 10. SummerSlam is this weekend, and while the developmental brand won't have much of a presence at the event, it still has to do some groundwork for Heatwave, which is coming up on August the 24th. We're not too far away. And we've got a couple of interesting matches on the card this week, including Santino and Morella. I didn't expect to see that, but we started things off with the roster in and around the ring as the announcer called for a 10-bell salute. After the break, we got a video recap of last week's show before Parker was up for the first match tonight against Wwenxt, who had Henley and JC Jane by her side. As soon as they locked up, Parker asserted her dominance by pushing Wwenxt to the corner and patting her hair on the head correspondingly. As springboard into Gary took Parker down for the first two count of the match. From that point forward, this was a competitive fight that didn't seem to have an obvious conclusion. One of the best part of NXT Women's division is no matter the level of experience, it feels like everyone wants to make sure every performance stands out in some way. Nobody ever phones it in. Parker scored the win while the rest of Faithfulness watched with disappointment. A short but energetic match. I'm kind of intrigued to relieve for the future. For this alone, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Siobhan Evans then came to the ring looking to call out a champion, but he was interrupted by Trick. Before he get too far into his promo, Evans let him know he wasn't talking about Trick, he wants to challenge Femi. The High Rise came out to back up Williams and said it should be him getting an NXT title shot. Evans knew his time was up, so he took the first shot at Wesley before everyone else pounced him. He did a good job setting up an Evans-Lee match later on, so yeah, fair enough, that's what it's there to do. Before we got Tavian Heights taking on Charlie Dempsey, Ren Sinclair came out of both men but stood on Dempsey's corner. The first few moments saw both men hit a few takedowns and counters as they struggled to get the upper hand. Heights then began to take control using his superior power, but both men went down when they went for a crossbody at the same time. We returned from a break to see Heights starting to build up a head of steam, but Dempsey began to focus on his leg that kept him grounded. This is a fun competitive match that was just as good as the first encounter, possibly better. Heights was able to get the win with a textbook belly to get the pin. Dempsey will gradually shook the victor's hand, leaving him to celebrate. This is a really fun match, and for me the right result as well. So yes, 7 out of 10. Before Blake Monroe was out to talk about why she turned on Jordan Grace at Evolution, she showed some pics of Grace from very early in her career before she knew the body builder physique she knew to say. She mocked Grace and said she herself is the one WWE should build the brand around. Lola and Parker then came out to voice their opinions and state their claim at a title shot. Jordan used Jordan's music to scare break. Predictably, a fight broke out and all four women, Vice and Jordan, sent Parker and Monroe out the ring. Parker shoved Monroe to show they were not allies. The segment only had body shaming, but also ended with a match being booked with any kind of resolution going on. So yeah, I would say it was not probably WWE's best segment. Last Legend then took on Fallon Henry. Henry and the rest of Faith Evans were in the ring when we returned from a break during Legend's entrance, and Henry tried to play some mind games and immediately regretted it when Legend unloaded on her and picked her up above her head for a press slam. Nia Jackson ended up showing up to attack Legend while the ref was distracted, giving Henry the advantage she needed to win. The match itself didn't have much to do. It was all designed to bring Jackson to the fold and to set her up for a future match with Lash Legend, which became clear after she kept attacking Legend after the match, and I think it could be a good one for Legend as well. Didn't set out nicely, but yeah, 5 out of 10. I'm intrigued to see how that goes. Before we got Wesley taking on Siobhan Evans, and Evans wasted no time getting the fight going when he hit a suicide dive while Lee was still making his entrance. The young OG took it to the former champ, and had a big springboard clothesline for a 2 count right away. Lee tried to make a comeback, but it felt like Evans had his number at every turn. It wasn't until right at the end when Lee finally started to build momentum. This is an entertaining and highly competitive match. Both of these guys can do some incredible area moves, and he made sure to bring the best to this one. Both men came close to winning a few times, but in the end, Evans fended off High Rise and hit a springboard cutter for the pin and the win. A brilliant match between two of NXT's finest technical performers. They really showed what they could do. I'd love to see both of them in the title picture, to be honest. 8 out of 10. Before Santino and Moreno was out first to take on Ethan Page in the North American Championship match in the main event of the show. You heard that right. Santino is obviously still mostly comedic. He did not try to be funny when he and Page began grappling. Both men showed off technical ability with some reversals and counters. This ended up being much more competitive than expected. But you never felt like Page was going to lose. It's one of those bouts booked solely to give the champion a win while simultaneously giving the veteran one last shot at success. We've seen this kind of thing before when Jerry Lawler challenged Miz for the title. Unsurprisingly, All Ego retained, but it's still a fun way to bring Santino in. I like Santino, so yeah, 6 out of 10 from me. And overall, this week's NXT gets a 5 out of 10 from me. It addressed a lot of different storylines and a couple of extra feuds as well. The main event was fun. However, the match that stole the show was undoubtedly Evans v Lee. There's been lots of decent stories intertwined. I didn't feel like we got anything major on the show, but it was entertaining enough. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.